Hello, good morning. It's Saturday morning here in the Boyer household. Just on the washing, and you might glimpse that in the background. I'm going to read chapter 2 of Phoenix. Chapter 2 of Phoenix. If you remember, there's been trouble, something in the sky, and Mum says we've got to get out of here. Lucky's mother pulled a kit bag down from the cupboard and started to throw his clothes into it. Panic clawed at his chest as he watched her. "Please, Mum," he begged. "What's going on? I need to know." "I need you to promise me something," she interrupted. She glanced at the burned bedsheet, at the smoke that still hung in the air. "Promise me you will never, ever tell anyone what happened here." I promise," he said, though her words were just making it worse. Her voice was so grave, as if someone had died. He could see she was making a massive effort to stay calm, but a tiny tremor worked its way along her jaw as she talked. "Your father warned me one day this would come," she said, as she packed the bag, moving rapidly around the room. "I hoped he was wrong, but it's here, and it's real." "What is?" She shook her head. "I can't explain it all now. It'll take too long. I'll tell you everything once we're safe, but right now we have to leave town. Leave Phoenix, even." Lucky gaped at her. "Is it that bad?" She didn't reply. She just kept stuffing more and more clothes into the bag. "But what about school?" he said. "I've got a test this morning, the one you were helping me with." "Test?" she said. The kit bag was full to bursting now. "Don't worry, school is not important." "Since when?" He hugged himself tightly, trying to hold down the shivering fear that was threatening to overwhelm him. He glanced at his star maps, his spaceships. "What about my—" he began, but she cut off the question before he could even ask it. "This is the only thing that matters," she said, firmly zipping the bag shut. "Now I'm going to pack some things for me, and then we're out of here. I'll find us a ship at the spaceport. We'll be off Phoenix before the day is through, okay?" And with that she marched out of the bedroom. His stomach was churning, his mind raging with unanswered questions. Why wouldn't she tell him what she knew? His father would have told him. He felt sure of it. Lucky touched the wall screen, and brought up his favourite vidpic. It was an old one, from before the war. He was just a baby in it. His mother was cradling him in her arms. Behind her was a handsome man with a moustache, dressed in a Starship Commander's uniform. He was watching over them protectively, smiling down at them beneath the blazing stars of a spiral nebula. Lucky gazed at that smile, so far away in time and space. It was so warm, so full of love. It always made him feel better to see it. If only his father hadn't gone to fight in the war, everything would have been different then. He imagined running away from his mother, going to find his father. But where would he even start? He had no contact with him, no memories of him. Only this vidpic and the adventures they had together in Lucky's fantasies, built around his model spaceships and star maps. His mother hadn't packed a single one of them. She'd never liked them, but they were things he loved. He didn't want to leave them. I didn't want to leave home either. He stumbled out into the corridor. She'd been through already, leaving a trail of chaos behind her. Baking trays and packets of sugar were strewn across the floor, abandoned. The storeroom doors hung forlornly open. He couldn't see the medikit in there anymore, but he could see something else, something strange, glinting in the far corner of the storeroom. An object that had been discarded in the shadows. It resembled nothing he'd ever seen before. Scalp prickling, he reached in and picked it up. It was a thick, black disc, blacker than black, like a chunk of outer space. It was made from some kind of metal that looked like it had fallen from the sky. It felt cool to the touch, and though it was as big as both his hands cupped together, it was very comfortable to hold. There were no words on it, but around its circumference were faint markings, intricate patterns, 12 symbols like a long-forgotten alphabet carved into the black. He couldn't take his eyes off them. He didn't recognize them, but just kept looking at them. Made his skin tingle. They looked ancient. They looked mystical. They looked almost alive. And within the circle of symbols lay other, smaller circles, a series of dials like wheels within wheels, tracing elegant arcs and crescents, describing a geometry as precise as it was mysterious. "Lucky," said his mother. She stood behind him in the corridor, a packed bag beside her already. "Put that astrolabe down." "Astro what?" He hefted it in his hands. "What is it? It feels so comfortable, like it was made for me or something." "It's nothing to do with you," she said, a strange edge in her voice. "You weren't meant to find it. Your father never—" "It's my father's?" Lucky stared at her in shock. "Shouldn't we take it with us?" Her blue eyes blazed. "Forget it. Now come on, let's go." But she couldn't. He couldn't even think about forgetting it. "If it's my father's," he said, "then we have to take it. You're making me leave everything here, my school, my friends, my stuff. Do you want to take him away from me too? A wave of hurt washed across her face. There was a painful silence between them for a moment. Then she took him in her arms and held him gently. I'm sorry, sweetheart, she said. I'm so sorry about all of this. I know how confusing it must be. I wish things were different. I wish we could be with your father, and believe me, so does he. Lucky wriggled away. His mother was looking at him with a concern so deep it was awful, with a love so strong he felt embarrassed. If my father really wanted that, he said, then why isn't he here with us? Why doesn't he ever get in touch? Does he even care I exist? Of course he does. But it's so complicated. We can't be safe with him. And right now, we can't be safe here either. But why not, he said. Why won't you tell me what's going on? All I'm trying to do is to protect you, my love. I would never do anything else. You know that, right? He looked down. I guess, he muttered. She reached out again and tentatively squeezed his hand. So will you trust me? Will you come with me, please? He bit his lip. Can I bring this Astro thing? His mother gave him a long, hard look, but he held her gaze and did not look away. You're as stubborn as he is, she groaned at last. Okay, we don't have time for this, so here's the deal. I don't want to see that thing ever again, but if you hide it away and do exactly what I say, then all right, you can bring it. I can? She grunted. Don't get your hopes up. I could never get anything out of it, not one single glimmer of light. I don't expect you will either. Lucky didn't say a word. He just held the astrolabe in his hands, held it tight. His whole body was tingling with the strength of his emotions. At last he had something that linked him to his father, something better than model starship, something real. An object his father's hands had actually touched. His mother had kept it all these years, and now it was his. Thank you, he whispered. She shouldered a bag. Okay, let's get out of here. He tucked the astrolabe away in his kit bag and took one last glance back at the bedroom. The mystery of the burned sheet remained there, unexplained. But whatever secrets his mother was keeping, whatever was really going on here, he didn't feel so afraid anymore. Not when he knew she was there, taking care of him, like always. She put on the big dark glasses she always wore outdoors, even at night. She deactivated the force fields, grav fields, power bars and locks of her security matrix, pulled the front door open, and together they left their home searching for a ship to take them to the stars. Then we've got some interleaving pages. It says 12. The wolf is rising. The Astraeus of the sky cannot stop it, for the wolf will eat the stars. Before we proceed to chapter 3, have a think about that chapter. Maybe if you can, read it back yourself. And then maybe choose something to draw and describe, a short piece of writing or a drawing of the astrolabe perhaps. Think about, replay what I said, what I read, read the book. What did the astrolabe look like with all that writing around the circumference, the 12 symbols? What might it be? Thank you very much. Bye for now.